Hi, good morning everyone. So today we are going to discuss about pattern printing. Okay, after this example, you will not have any confusion whatsoever on any kind of pattern printing that you are presented with. So we'll go through some of the examples. We'll take a look at how you can construct the logic and how you can do this in different languages. And with some languages like Python, Java, or Dart, there is a little bit of easiness on doing these things. Okay, so we'll start with this first example. Okay, and the most common one is this triangle. Okay, that starts from the top left and then ends at the bottom right. So what we can say is that these rows are always represented by the outer loop, and these columns, okay, these rows are represented by outer loop. Okay, outer loop means there is this loop. Okay, we most of the time we need two for loops to handle the case of pattern printing. So this outer loop, or this loop you see where the variable I goes from 1 to 5 is represented by rows, or it represents rows. And the columns, right, these and these columns are always represented by the inner loop. Okay, where you see for loop goes from j to 1, j start from 1 and goes up to I. Okay, so what we can say, rows are always represented by the outer loop, or I. Okay, rows are horizontal and columns are represented by second for loop or inner for loop. So columns are always vertical. Okay, and given the size, okay, here what is the size? It is 5 by 5, right? You see there are 5 rows. Okay, so width is 5 and then height is 5. Okay, so at max height is 1 2 3 4 5, so it is a 5 by 5 matrix. Okay, so what we can say is this row which is represented by the outer loop will always be this one. Okay, there are two forms to represent. So what we can do is, if we just manage to memorize get comfortable with this for loop, outer loop, it will always stay same no matter what the pattern is. Okay, so it always starts from 1 and it always goes up to and including the size. Okay, so I always starts from 1 and always goes up to 5 including 5. If you want to start from 0 and not include 5, that's always that is okay as well. So we'll stick to one example. Okay, so as in you can see, what we can also do is the loop can start from 0 and go up to 5. Okay, if it starts from 0, it does not have to include the size, which is 5 in this case. If it starts from 1, it has to include the size. Okay, it has to go up to the size of the matrix. So what you can say, the outer loop always stays same and the inner loop is where we compute what we need to print and what we need to do. Okay, so we can forget about this outer loop. Okay, it will always stay same. Okay, so what we know is that this outer for loop is used to represent rows, and then this inner for loop is used to represent columns. Okay, so let's take a look at this very simple example. Okay, so we can forget about this outer loop. Okay, it goes I goes from 1 and it goes up to 5. Okay, including 5. So 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, let's concentrate on this second one, because second for loop, because it is where we are actually printing something. Okay, so on second for loop, where is j is equal to 1 and it goes up to some value and then j plus plus. Okay, this is where we need to make adjustment based on the question to print whether to print asterisk, whether to print empty space, whether to print new line, etc. Okay, if we take a look at this, this outer for loop will always stay the same, so we can forget this. On the second for loop, this here, okay, what we need to do, on the first iteration we need to print 1 asterisk, on the second iteration we need to print 2, on third we need 3, on fourth we need 4, and on fifth we need 5. Okay, and what does what does 1 represent on first row, what does 2 represent on second row, and then 3 on third row, 4th on fourth row, and 5th on fifth row? This I value, exactly I, because it goes from 1 to 5, so we can use I to determine how we want to print, okay, and what we want to print on the console. So in this case, in the first row, okay, on the second loop, what we can do is, for j that starts at 1, okay, because we need 1 as well, always we go from left to right, so we can say j that is starts from 1 and it goes up to what? I, because I value is incremented on each row. So in this case we need just 1, so j starts from 1 and j goes up to I. Okay, so j starts from 1 and it goes up to 1, and j plus plus is, this is incrementation, this is increment, and we print 1. So this second for loop will just run one time, because j it is starting from 1, and the termination case is that j has to go up to I. Okay, so what is the value of I? I is also 1 because of this value. Okay, so j plus plus. So this second for loop only runs one time and it only prints asterisk. Okay, and once this second for loop ends, what we are printing is new line slash n. It is just so that the console goes on the second line. Okay, and now the inner loop is finished as well. For the second iteration, now I value is what? I becomes 2 now, right? Because this second for loop also ended. So I becomes 2, I is less than or equal to 5, so this will go through. And on the second loop, okay, on the inner loop, we are here on the second row. So where we are going? We are going from, j is going from 1 and j is going up to 2. So what we can, so it will run for 2 times, because it is starting from 1 and it is going up to 2, including 2. Okay, so 1 and 2. So we'll print this asterisk 2 times. Okay, first operation will print this one, and then the second operation will print this one. Okay, it will print 2 times. Similarly 3, 4th and 5th, 5 times it will print. Okay, let's take an example. We'll start in Java. Okay, this is simple algorithm. You can do this in any programming language you like, C++, Python, C, etc. Okay, this is simple algorithm. Okay, this is not any programming syntax specific. We'll start with Java. Okay, we can see in C++ as well, but we'll start with Java, and then on later courses, okay, on later part of this video, we will also see how we can eliminate this second for loop. Okay, so we'll just have one loop and some operation. We'll see about that. String multiplication is there available in most of the language, so we'll make a use of that, and that will also make pattern printing a lot easier. But for now we'll do this in Java. Okay, and we'll do this with 2 for loop. So what we have to do is, for outer loop, int I equals 1, I goes up to 5, including 5. Okay, I plus plus. Okay, and then for j equals 1, okay, j goes up to I, j plus plus. Okay, for print we don't have simple print thing, like this print statement is not there. So what we do is system.out.print, let's say asterisk, and for some space, so that it lives with some space, we'll do asterisk and then one more empty space. Okay, And after termination of the inner for loop, we also have to do system.out.print new line. Okay, we can do this with print ln. We will all figure out. Okay, there is also system.out.print ln that prints on the new line every time, but we need to print on the horizontal thing, so we need to print horizontally, so we'll stick to this print. Okay, if I run this, so what we get exactly what we wanted. Okay, what the output was asking, what output we were expecting basically. Okay, so this is very simple, rather simple, because it is starting at the left side of the corner. Okay, and then we don't have to worry about the empty spaces that we have to leave or to do anything with that, because the console always starts from left and our alt triangle is also starting at the left, so this is much easier, rather it is easier. Okay, but if we were to invert this, then it becomes a little difficult to do. Okay, we'll see about that. We'll move to the second. For this example, what we have to be very careful in this. Okay, because unlike the first example where the printing started from the left corner and then it went down below like that, it's not the same case here, because what we have to be careful about is this leading spaces. Okay, if we see this example here, what we have to do on the first row, okay, from the first line, we don't have to print any empty space, we just have to print 5 asterisk. Okay, on the second, we have to print 1 empty space. Okay, this place of asterisk is taken by empty space. Okay, and then it is followed by 4 asterisk. On the third line, we have to print 2 empty spaces here and here, and then it will be followed by 3 asterisk. On the fourth line, we have to print 3 empty spaces followed by 2 asterisk. Okay, and on the last line, we have to print 4 empty spaces and then 1 asterisk. Okay, so we just did this example. Previously we did not have to worry about the leading empty spaces, so that was a little easier for us. Now we have to take care of this leading spaces as well, but it is very easy, we don't have to worry. This outer for loop, it will always stay same. Okay, we can forget about this. Let's start with the empty space. Okay, on the first one we don't want any empty space, on the second one we want 1 empty space, on the third one we want 2, on the fourth we want 3, and on the fifth we want 4. So what is the relationship between I and empty spaces? Empty spaces are, the value of empty spaces is I minus 1. Okay, because on the first row value of I would be 1, there we don't want any space, empty space, we want 0 empty space. On second row value of I is 2, but we want 1 empty space, so I minus 1 again. On third row we want 2 empty spaces, but value of I is 3 minus 1. Okay, and it goes like that similarly. So what we can write instead is, for j equals to 1 always, just like we saw previously, j we previously used equals to I, right? J less than or equal to I. Here, since we want the value of j to not go up to I, but rather I minus 1, so we just say j is less than I and then j plus plus, and we basically print empty space. Okay, for the first row value of I would be 1, so what it does is j equals to 1 and then j less than I. Okay, so 1 is less than 1, this statement will not hold true, and then this print would not be executed. On the second row value of I would be 2, j is equal to 1, j is less than 2. Okay, and then j plus plus, so it goes inside one time. Now again the value of j is already increased to 2. So 2 j value of j is 2. 2 is not less than to 2, not less than 2. So this inner loop will not be executed, it will just be executed 1. Okay, so that's how we'll get one empty space. And similarly 2 here, 3 here, and 4 here. Now we have handled the empty space section. What we need to handle also is this asterisk. Don't forget about these. So again, for asterisks, let's see the pattern here. Okay, we have to understand the pattern. Okay, on the first row we have 5, on second row we have 4, on third row we have 3, fourth row we have 2, fifth row we have 1. But if we see the value of I, it is going from 1 to 5, but we need 5 to 1. It's the reverse. Okay, so what we can do is, okay, for integer j equals I, okay, and the first one it will be how much? 1. Okay, and j goes up to 5 including 5 and j plus plus. So similar to this one. Okay, right? But instead of I being 1, here j is equal to I. Okay, so for the first row, if we see value of I is what? 1. Okay, j starts from 1, it goes up to 5 including 5. So this iteration will run for 5 times, so it will print 5 asterisks. On second row, value of I is what? Already 2. So j goes from 2 to 5. Okay, including 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will run for 4 times, so it will print 4 asterisks. On third row, value of I is already 3. Okay, so j starts from 3, it goes up to 5 including 5. So 3, 4, and 5. So it will print 3 asterisks. So 3 asterisks. Okay, 3 times. And similarly it goes like that. Okay, let's see in the example. Okay, and instead of 1 empty spaces, I just put 2 so that it formats better or looks nice. Let's execute this. Okay, so we have the exact output that we needed. Okay, so it starts from the right hand side. Now this one, on first row it is printing 5, 4 asterisk on second, 3 asterisk on third, 2 asterisk on the fourth, and then 1 asterisk on the last. Okay, so if we understand these two, so we can do any pattern. Okay, we just did this, we already did this. Okay, let's try to do this one. Okay, so this is exactly the same as this first one. Okay, not exactly, but it is very similar. And in this case as well, we don't have to worry about the empty spaces, leading empty spaces. Okay, so here again the outer for loop, as we discussed, will always be same. I always goes from 1 to 5. Okay, but for j, okay, inner for loop, what it mimics is the same thing that we did for empty spaces. Okay, in the previous example as well, we had to do some, what we did for empty spaces is similar to this here. Okay, the only difference here is that we don't have to worry about those leading empty spaces. The other thing is exactly the same. Okay, okay, let me just show. Okay, we have 5 asterisk 4 3 2 1. Okay, we have 5 4 3 2 1. The only difference is that there is no leading empty spaces. So we can just get rid of that one extra for loop that we had, and then we'll be presented with this kind of output. Okay, so let's just see. Okay, so we had this. Okay, 5 4 3 2 1. We need the similar output, but instead of this shape, we need this shape to follow from top left to bottom right. Okay, we need this shape. So what do? We just get rid of this empty spaces. Okay, the loop that was responsible for rendering those empty spaces. And then let's try. Voila! So we get the output. Okay, so once we get hold of one or two examples, okay, the other ones are very similar. Okay, so we just see these two. Okay, we just did these. Okay, we just managed to do that. We have already done this. And if we see the other combination is this one. Okay, it is again similar to this, but it is kind of mirrored. Okay, here also we have to take care of empty spaces, but the empty spaces are decreasing. In this case, the empty spaces were increasing, asterisks were decreasing. In this case, empty spaces are decreasing and then asterisks are increasing. Okay, on the first row we have to print 4 empty spaces and then 1 asterisk. Okay, like the last one of these. And then on the second row we have to print 3 empty spaces and 2 asterisks, like this. On third row we have to print 2 empty space, 3 asterisks, like this. On fourth row we have to print 4 asterisks and 1 empty space, exactly like this. And on the last row or fifth row we have to print 5 asterisks and 0 empty space, like this. So what can we do? Okay, so we can just mirror the code. Okay, we just have to make very simple modification. Okay, we already discussed this example. Okay, so what we have to do is just switch the position of asterisk and empty space, and then we'll just be done. Right, because if we switch the position, if we switch the order of or the loops that were responsible for printing empty space and asterisk, will be just presented with this output. Okay, in this case what we need to do is we need to have since the value of I would be 1 at the first iteration, 2, 3, 4, 5, the for loop that prints these asterisks can go from 1 to I, always including the value of I. Okay, on the first row value of I is 1, so the loop that is responsible to print asterisk always goes from 1 to I. Okay, this and this, but the loop that is responsible for printing the empty space has to go from I to 5, but not including 5. Okay, because on the first one we need 4 empty space, the value of I is 1, so the J loop goes from I, okay, from 1 to 5, but not including 5. Okay, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that will have 4 empty spaces. On the second loop value of I is 2, so it goes from 2 to 5. Okay, but not including 5, 2, 3, 4, so we'll have 3 empty space, and so on. Okay, I'll just switch back to this one. Okay, so if we just switch the order, okay, of empty spaces and asterisks, okay, empty spaces, what we said, it has to go from I, and then it has to go up to 5, but not including 5. Okay, and for the inner loop that is responsible for printing asterisks, it has to go from 1 to up to I, including I, and then we'll just be done. Let me just execute this. Okay, there is definitely something wrong with some spaces. Right, So we get this output. Okay, very easy. Now we'll do one combination. Okay, so let's do this half diamond thing or equilateral triangle. Okay, this is combination of the four that we just saw, or not just four, but if we see, this is one half. Okay, we did. Okay, from here, if we take the left side, we have done this already. Okay, and if we take from here and on the right side, if we take a look at the right side, we have already done this as well. Okay, so it is very similar, but since this is a fusion, so we need more empty spaces and more asterisk values. Okay, since we already know the outer for loop I always goes from 1 to 5, so we can just forget about that. If we see this pattern, empty spaces on both sides is what? It is 4 4. Okay, on second row it is 3 3, third row 2 2, fourth row 1 1, and fifth row there is no empty space. So basically empty spaces on both sides is, fourth side value is 5 minus I. Okay, so what is that? What does it mean? So the empty, whatever is responsible for rendering empty spaces can go from I to 5 but not include 5. Okay, and then asterisk. Okay, first we have to render the empty space at the left side and then run this for loop, and then again on the right side we have to do this. Okay, but this asterisk, how much it has to go to? It has to go to 2 into I minus 1. Okay, because that's the pattern. Since here the value of I is 1, we only need 1, so 2 into 1 minus 1, that is 1. On second row, value of I is 2. Okay, but we need 3 asterisks, so 2 into 2 minus 1, 3. And on third row, value of I is 3, but we need 5 asterisks, so 2 into I minus 1. Okay, let's just do this. Okay, so this is always fixed. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. But in this example, what is different is that we have to take care of empty spaces, 4 empty spaces 2 times. Okay, so I that goes from I to 5, we have already done this, that this will always print 4 empty spaces. Okay, and then asterisk as well. Okay, so we have already done this. Okay, so we just have to make some changes. Okay, I has to go up to what? 2 into I minus 1. So let's just make some change here. 2 into I minus 1. Okay, and then again this loop that is responsible for rendering empty spaces is repeated. Okay, so let's just execute this. We'll see what kind of output will we get. Voila, this is what we exactly needed. And if you want to do this in C++, all we have to replace is that the system.out.print would be replaced by cout and everything will remain same. Okay, and once you understand this concept, you can do it with any language that you like. We just saw this example. Okay, we had 3 for loops. Okay, and instead of that, if we had a string multiplication, since we have a string multiplication, we can let this for loop be like this. Okay, and on the first row, what we need 5 minus I times empty spaces. Okay, so I'll just do the example. Okay, so res equals empty spaces dot repeat. Okay, there is a repeat method in string. Okay, what it does is it replicates 5 minus I, sorry, empty double empty spaces 4 times. Okay, what we exactly needed. And then the asterisk is how much of asterisks we need? 2 into I minus 1. Okay, so what we can do is raise, I'll do shorthand plus equals, it is equivalent of raise equal to raise plus. Okay, so what we need is asterisk that repeat how many times? 2 into I minus 1. Okay, again for the remaining empty spaces, what we need is okay, and then we can just print on the new line. Okay, let me comment this out. We will explain line by line what we did, but let's just see the exam output. Okay, so this is exactly what we need. Okay, let's understand this. We have declared a variable called res. Okay, and what it does is it repeats this empty string 5 minus I times. Okay, basically multiplies this string. Okay, if we see the value after executing this line, it would be double these two empty spaces repeated 4 times. Okay, on this left side. Then what we do, we concat what we already had in res by multiplying the asterisk how many times? 2 into I minus 1 times. Okay, right, value of I is now what? 1. So 1 into 2 minus 1, it produces 1 and multiplies with the asterisk, and similar here. And basically we can print on the new line. Okay, system dot outer println res. Okay, so it will do this. Very easy. We'll see how we do this in Dart. Okay, there we don't use this repeat method, but we just directly multiply string because string multiplication is supported there. We can do the same thing on Python as well. Okay, let's do these two in Python and Dart. Okay, by the way, if you want to do this in C++ as well, there is no out-of-the-box support, but we can write and we can override this asterisk operation. Okay, here we are at the Dart pad. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to see a demo of string multiplication. Okay, with the same thing. So again I will declare a variable. Okay, this is written in Dart language. Okay, empty spaces, and then basically multiply by, so this is well supported there, asterisk multiply by, what we do, res plus equals, it is equivalent of res equal to res plus asterisk multiply by 2 into I minus 1, again equal to what we do into 5 minus I, and then we can simply print res. Okay, let's try. See, same output. Okay, we can do this same thing in Python as well. Okay, let's just see an example. Here we are at the Python compiler. Okay, we'll see how we can do this in Python as well. Okay, so for I in range, I have to go from 1 to 6, so that basically this second range function does not include the outer limit. Okay, so it always goes from 1 2 3 4 and 5. 6 is not included. Okay, so what we did is Okay, similarly multiplied by 5 minus I. Okay, then rest plus equals asterisk multiplied by 2 into I minus 1, no comma, and rest plus equals multiplied by 5 minus I. Okay, and then we'll just print this again, no semicolon. We are in Python. Okay, same output. So it just makes a lot easier when you have a string multiplication. Okay, so we just got away from, we could remove this much of code in favor of this much. Okay, similarly this much of code only, if we used it, if we had to do in with that as well. Okay, so with this I hope you are able to do any kind of pattern printing. Okay, I'll share some of those code snippet here that we did here, along with this string multiplication that we did in Python, Dart and Java, and then I'll also attach 1 or 2 code snippet from the early example that we did with Java. Okay, so I hope now you will not have any issue at all solving pattern related problems. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. And if you think it adds any value, please consider subscribing and liking this channel as well.